Hey, well, welcome back to another episode of 10 with Tom. Maybe this is your first time watching 10 with Tom. My name is Tom, and we get to explore faith 10 minutes at a time together. And today I want to talk about my first 10 with Tom of 2023. So, hey. So today we're exploring opportunities to trust. So I heard a story the other day. It's actually a true story that's really helpful for me, and maybe it will be helpful for you as well. There was this guy who went to work for Mother Teresa for a couple of months, and towards the end of his time, he got an opportunity to actually have a personal conversation with Mother Teresa, and she asked him this question: is there anything that I can pray for you about? I thought, like, geez, how cool is that? I mean, to have Mother Teresa literally ask you, what can she pray for you? And he said, well, I've got these really big decisions coming up, and I could really use some clarity, some certainty. And Mother Teresa looks at him and she says, well, I'd be happy to pray that for you, but I've found that God doesn't typically give me clarity. In fact, I've very rarely had clarity. But what God does give me is opportunities to trust. And I'm going to pray that this will be an opportunity for you to trust even when you don't have clarity. So wise, eh? So hard. It's not easy because we love clarity and we love certainty. But I think what Mother Teresa realizes, and I think what we all need to realize, is that to be honest, certainty is an illusion. The Bible says no one knows what tomorrow will bring except for God. Ryan Holiday says all certainty is uncertain. You're not safe, you never will be, no one is. And in putting safety, and I would argue comfort, above everything, we actually put ourselves in more danger because we stopped trusting. So if you're in a season where you asking like that guy did, that you need clarity, like you wish God would give you some certainty, you need to know what's on the other side, well, I hope God will tell you. He doesn't often do that for me, but what he does do is he gives me opportunities to trust. And I think he's giving all of us that opportunity right now and in this year to come. You know, we just been in a series on Sunday called As For Me, and it's based off of 2 Timothy 4 verse 6 to 7, where Paul writes, as for me, you know, he's looking back on his life and he says, I've fought the good fight, I've finished the race, and I've kept the faith. And I preached the last part of this series on keeping the faith on Sunday, and if you missed that, I really encourage you. It'll be on our YouTube channel. You can go back and watch it. It was recorded in studio, but we also have it, live recorded from our Mshlanga campus. But I really encourage you to go watch that, because there was this kind of line where I realized Paul's shipwrecked. So when he speaks of fighting the good fight or keeping the faith, or that's not theory for Paul. This is like practical. He was shipwrecked 3 times, but in one of those times, he says to the crew, he says, guys, the ship's going down, but you're not going to lose a hair on your head. You'll be fine. So good news, you're not going to die. Bad news, we're going to lose the ship. But his point in all of that is that it's possible for us to fail, but not have our faith fail us. It's possible for us to lose our lives and not lose our souls in the process. You can lose your boat, lose your house with all the pictures inside of it, lose your job, lose your most, defining relationships, the people closest to you, and still not lose you. Still not lose your soul. And that's what I think Paul actually means when he says, keep the faith. Fight the good fight, finish the race, keep the faith. Paul died in prison, but he never lost his soul. And that's why we're reading his letters 2,000 years later. Now, of course, what does it look like to do that? Well, again, I encourage you to go back and watch the full message, because I unpack what it means to keep the faith. And that story in Acts 27 actually gives us some incredible little kind of tips in terms of how Paul handled that shipwreck. But I just want to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about how we see that happening here at Grace Family Church. And you may watch these videos and never come to Grace or whatever, but I think the principles still apply. At Grace we say love God, love people, and make a difference. That's who we are. It's our vision. It's why we get up in the morning. But it's also how we do things. So for us, loving God is about coming on Sundays. Now, of course, Sundays is much. Loving God is much bigger than just a church service, but our church services are primarily the place where we can express our love for God and receive the love of God and invite others to come and do the same. Hopefully our services are places where you feel safe to invite your unchurched friend, and nothing weird's going to happen, and they can experience something of the presence and the love of God. So come on Sundays. There's something about that regular every 7 days. We need spiritual food. And it doesn't have to be every Sunday, but there's kind of a rhythm to that. So come on Sundays. Love people for us is, it comes out of that statement in the Bible. It says, how God says, how can you say you love me whom you can't see when you don't even love the people who you can see? And so for us, loving God and loving people, they're one and the same. They can't be disconnected. They're interconnected. And so how do we do that? Well, for us, the best place for that to happen is in the context of groups. Now, we have many different types of groups that meet around our city during the week, some in the evening, some in the morning, some are just for an hour at a coffee shop with a few people, some are bigger groups where they do like Bible study stuff. Sometimes it's groups that meet around particular interests. I just met with a guy now who is part of like a skaters group, and they skate together. And so the point is, it doesn't really matter what the group looks like. The point is, are you doing life together with other people who are heading in the same direction, who are holding you up, holding you accountable, challenging you, inspiring you, comforting you? So we got to do this together. That's the one thing I know about. If you're going to keep the faith, if you're going to hold true in 2023, we need other people. So love God, come on Sundays, love people, be part of a group. It can be part of Grace or beyond that. And then of course make a difference. Because this idea that we all have resources, time, talent, and treasure that we are designed to use, not for our own benefit, but for the benefit of others. And whether that's serving at a soup kitchen, whether it's whatever that looks like, whether it's serving in the context of the local church, is be part of a team that's making a difference beyond yourself. And I think what we've found is that people who do those things, and listen, this is not sexy, it's not new, but it is how we grow. And what we've found is that people who are committed to those things, to regular and faithful gathering and worship, whether that's online or in person, to being part of a community of people and serving and using their gifts and their resources to make a difference, then generally those people stay and they grow. But often people who are not engaging in those practices, those disciplines, tend to, when they hit a bump in the road or a storm like Paul did, they tend to find themselves shipwrecked upon the shore, and they either lose their faith altogether or they kind of backslide or whatever that is. And so how do we grow? Well, I think this is how we grow and keep the faith in 2023. And again, just going back to that story of Mother Teresa, maybe you're saying, I just need certainty, and I wish God would give me that. Or you're wondering, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to me? And honestly, I can't tell you. It would be a lie for me to be able to tell you everything's going to be fine. But I do believe that with courage, you can say to yourself, like Paul, hey, I'm not sure what the future will bring, but I will get through this with my soul intact. I will make the best of it. In the uncertainty, I will grab these opportunities to trust, and I will fight the fight, and I will finish the race, and I will keep the faith. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of 10 with Tom. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.